AI is going to be almost like a concierge between a buyer and a vendor.
Do you see that as a new norm?
It's making them more efficient, better at their job, and more strategic.
Does it open up endless possibilities for you?
I think one of the most expensive things for business leaders is not choosing a vendor, but choosing the wrong one.
Sergei, thanks for coming on TomTalks. Excited to have you. We are going to be talking about 3 questions AI related, 15 minutes, 3 questions, 5 minutes on each of them. Clutch AI just released 2. Tell me about it real quick on the big announcement on what's going on there.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. Clutch AI is part of a broader initiative we have here at Clutch. So our team is very forward thinking. A lot of people are talking about AI, and right now it's a big thing for a lot of business leaders in the space. And Clutch AI was the first of many initiatives we have to kind of bridge the gap between service providers and buyers and how they make a better match to kind of fix their business needs or challenges that they need to do.
Seems like a natural evolution of search, right? So which goes into the first question too, of how do you think AI might change how companies find or use businesses in the future or services?
So I think the biggest is personalized experiences. A lot of people who search for businesses, they understand their problem or their business challenge. And sometimes, an SEO firm can have the same marketing language, but a different implementation style or kind of contextually fix those things. So it's about finding, not all SEO experts are created equal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
How do you define the difference between the two? And one thing we're very proud of here at Clutch is the depth and quality of our data. It's like almost we've been set up for this AI wild, wild west before we knew it was all coming. A lot of the reviews that we have, we call them reviews, but they're very in-depth, almost case study, white paper-like, where it outlines the entire project. And maybe unlike some other review sites that pay, a $15 Starbucks gift card to write a review, we take the opposite approach and we verify, we make sure that everything is high quality. But in turn, now we can use that data with some of the machine learning techniques that we're utilizing internally to actually recommend better vendors to our buyers and kind of bridge that gap. So I think long-term, the successful companies, whether it's B2B providers or anything else, it's how are they going to use these models to leverage the data that they already have.
So what do you see, what else do you see AI bridging in terms of the value between consumers and service providers today?
So I think there's a lot of points, right? So AI is going to be almost like a concierge between a buyer and a vendor. And that starts from all parts of the buyer journey. So, sometimes executives are tasked with finding a vendor. And while they might know they need a mobile developer, do they really know the difference between native versus not? And do they really solve the business challenges? I think one of the most expensive things for business leaders is not choosing a vendor, but choosing the wrong one. So I think AI can actually bring together a lot of that contextual search is what we call it, where it'll match providers and set the right expectations earlier in the process so that there's a better relationship, a better flow of the project. There's also fun stuff, right? That both on the buyer side and the vendor side, they can use internally, whether it's AI-driven scopes of work or AI-driven, proposals, and kind of making the entire process much easier, makes the decision-making easier.
Yeah.
And kind of processing that automation and making sure that, support is even probably something that can be done fairly well. So I think people need to embrace AI. I think there was a great article that you posted where it's not going to replace jobs. And if we fundamentally help it, it actually ethically could help, because I don't think it'll replace logo designers. It'll make them better. It won't replace data analysts. It'll make them better.
Yeah.
And so I think that plays into this as well.
I totally agree. And, just from a marketing perspective, as you lead marketing, what about from a personalization or segmentation or experimenting? The funnel looks different now. Does it open up endless possibilities for you too?
I think you have to pick and choose. You can do so many different things now with AI, and you'll see a lot of that, right? So just like with NFTs and everything else, there's this crash of people launching. I think people who embrace it correctly will stay. A lot of that noise will go away. But embracing it personally too we try to push our companies very forward driven. So even internally with the tools people use, on a day-to-day basis, we're implementing that. People are excited to learn new ways. We have our entire development team on Copilot. It's just a much different experience, and it's making them more efficient, better at their job, and more strategic. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of people.
That's such a powerful narrative that I love to emphasize too, because we have a team of editors here that are now using it as armor. You can fact check easier. It can get you from 0 to 1 faster. It still takes human quality always, right? Like we're saying, but I totally agree. So it resonated with me. All right. Now from like the evolution of AI from 1, 2, 3 years from now, I mean, who knows, right? That's the big thing. I don't know what's going to happen a month from now, essentially. But like, it's like that. It's hard. So it's hard to be a futurist. It's hard to think ahead. But what do you think is impacting the future of AI today, and what do you think would be the key factors driving that, and as we continue to watch the space?
So I think the reason we got here, right, is because there's been a lot of advancements in things like computing power, or big data, not only externally but internally in companies, infrastructure with cloud computing. I think the biggest driver, personally, it's going to be open source frameworks and libraries. And there's a lot of talk on security and what does it all mean, and do we really know what's inside of OpenAI is great, but I think they have a lot of security through obscurity. Mm-hmm. And I think open source always fundamentally changes that, because it's naturally there's more eyes on it. And so the more open source things come out here, whether it's models or frameworks or ways you can utilize it, I think it'll drive the cost down quite a bit for implementation. I think it'll open up new opportunities on how to use AI. And I think the more developers that get into this, the better.
Yeah.
So I think that's natural. Now, like, with anything new, there's going to be a lot of noise. So kind of going back, some will last, some will, but I think that's going to be quite one of the biggest factors in it.
Yeah. And how do you sift through the noise? Like from advice to your marketing peers too, like, do you have other ways? And it's tough now. You got to be more disciplined and discerning on everything, essentially. But ultimately, what do you think? Any other areas of advice there?
I think it starts internally. I think just like the buyers who come to Clutch, trying to find a vendor, like, what is our business challenge? And then kind of sifting through the noise. Because otherwise you can inundate yourself with, I'm subscribed to 50 different AI newsletters, and there's something new we could do every day. But I think solving the business challenges we have and starting there, you'll learn a lot. Even with our first launch of Clutch AI, which was the chatbot experience, we learned quite a bit. And, as we're evolving kind of a forward-driven approach in everything we do that's going to be AI enabled, we're picking and choosing wisely, but we're also getting very, smart people who understand data very well involved. And yeah.
No, that's a great answer. And just another from like the consumer, when we see Bard and ChatGPT and like being able to search differently now, right? Having that layer of AI to help guide you through that journey a little different. Do you see that as a new norm?
I think it's here to stay. I think the user behavior will take a bit of time, just because there is so much noise. A lot of users use ChatGPT for recipes and, kind of the simple prompts that you can use. I think people are starting to figure out it's not the end, but it's like a means. So if you're writing a nice email back, it can write it for you, but a human has to edit it. Same with logo design. And I think at the end of it all, people will realize that it's just going to become personalized. Has been thrown around for decades, but this is legitimately personalized. Even if you take some examples in the video game world of AI, they're talking about video games being completely different for each individual player.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, and it blows my mind.
That's just crazy to think about. But I think user behavior will slowly adjust. I think Bard and Bing and all of them are going to have quite some time on understanding how that will happen. But I think people will enjoy it once it's more personalized. You're not just searching, even on Clutch's perspective, for a mobile developer. You're going to search for something that you're passionate about, maybe some sort of types of project management, or maybe some initiatives that the company is involved with. It'll actually contextualize and learn from reviews, bring that out to you dynamically, and your experience is going to be different than mine. That's going to be key.
Yeah, like what goes beyond hyper personalization, whatever it is. It's about relevancy, right? And that customer has a better experience as a result.
Exactly.
I have one other curveball. What scares you the most about AI?
I think fine-tuning the opportunities we have. I'm very entrepreneurial in my mindset. And so fine-tuning it to what we can do is one thing that kind of is both stressful and awesome. Mm-hmm. I think honestly, there's doomsdayers in AI that it's going to take over the world. I don't think we're there. I think we're very early in those stages. And back to kind of the open source, I think it'll get to a place where we can make it very effective for everyone on very many levels.
I think you put that really well. The opportunities are just everywhere. So it's being disciplined with that. But no, hey, that's awesome. Well, hey, that's Tom Talks. Sergey, I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.